Thank you, everyone. Just a reminder, this meeting is being recorded. If any members of the public would like to submit public comment, please do so in the chat by 10:30, which it will then be closed after that. All yours, Evelyn.
All right, welcome everyone. Good morning. It's Friday, TGIF. So let's start with our reaffirmation statement. The trustees of the Boston Public Library reaffirm our commitment to racial equity and to principles of diversity, equity, and inclusion more broadly. The library is formally committed to becoming an anti-racist organization in response to systemic racism, inequity, and injustice prevalent in our society. We acknowledge also that the Boston Public Library Central Library stands on land that was once a water-based ecosystem providing sustenance for the indigenous Massachusetts people, and it's a place in which has long served as a site of meeting and exchange among nations. We are committed to land acknowledgements for all locations at which we operate. We reaffirm this commitment to set the context of our planning, deliberations, and public engagement will take place from the spirit of welcome and respect found in our motto, free to all. All right.
Jay, can I ask one favor? Jay, can you please promote Jacqueline Johnson? She's in the public side. All set, Evelyn, sorry.
Okay. All right, so we're going to start. So we have a couple of new members, and I also want to take the opportunity to thank Sarah Ann Shaw, who's coming off from the committee. She has been a long-standing member of this committee. She was part of the committee since I started. So she's coming off the committee, and we welcome Elizabeth and Jacqueline. Is that right?
Right.
I don't see all the names here. Oh, Ms. Representative Tyler, welcome. So I welcome new members to the committee. Shay will remain with us, and Alan Knight, who's now a voting member. So welcome to all. I'm really looking forward to the contributions to the committee. This is a great team to be with. So we deliver a lot of great programs, and we welcome you all. Let's do a quick roll call, Pamela.
Sure thing. I do know that Alan Knight is absent. He's on vacation this week. So I'm just going to read your last names. Arana Ortiz.
Yes.
Foley.
Yes.
Johnson.
Present.
Knight is not, I just said that. Maygun.
Present. Sorry, I'm having technology challenges today.
All good, Shay. Thank you. Nagaraja.
Present.
And Tyler.
Here.
We have a quorum. Thanks.
All right. All right. The next item is approval of the minutes from our meeting of February 11th, 2022. Can I please get a motion?
Motion to approve.
All right.
Second.
Second. All right. Any requests for edits? Everybody okay with the content? If not, everybody good? Okay. So roll
How
call.
about we just do it where we have some new members that can't vote because they weren't voting members, they can't adopt the minutes. If you wouldn't mind just asking if there's any objections to accept them, we'll do it that way.
Let's do it that way. All right. Any objections to accept the minutes?
No.
No? Okay. So we accept the minutes.
Thank you.
All right. The next thing, because we have new committee members, I just want to give you, we have a charter that we have worked through, and this committee was established in 1974 with the whole purpose of delivering, using these funds that were left to the library on behalf of the Fellows Athenaeum. And the purpose of the use of these funds are to, oh, thank you so much. It's for literary instructive purposes at Roxbury branch. So what this committee does, we basically allocate, we get distributions every year from our endowment funds, and then we give a portion to the library so they can buy books or materials for the branch, as well as, you know, we go through an entire RFP process for programming of instructive services to the people that attend the branch. The structure of this committee is 2 trustees, myself and Representative Tyler, as well as 3 community representatives. We have Jay, Jacqueline, and Elizabeth, and then 2 members of the administration, which are Priscilla and Alan, the branch librarian. And then we have term limits. Each committee representative serves for 1 year, maximum of 3 years. And then we have members that serve as officio, such as city councilors, which so just so you know, they get invited to these meetings. City councilors, state representatives, and senators. Any questions from our new members in terms of the committee?
No.
No? Jacqueline, you good?
Yes, I am. Thank you.
All right. All right. So next item on the agenda is the budget. So we always present the budget, so we are transparent. Do you have a slide, Jay? You're muted, Ms.
I'm
Campbell.
not seeing a slide for this.
Oh, you're seeing no slide? Okay, so it's
Actually, I'm
on.
seeing a meeting schedule slide.
Okay.
Can I just say one thing, Evelyn? There is one typo in that committee structure. It's supposed to say each community representative will serve for 1 year, not committee representative. It should say community.
Community. Got
Right,
it.
sorry, that's my
Well,
mistake.
All right, we'll make
Because
that
obviously
change.
the trustees don't rotate every year. That's
Right.
all.
All right, so we don't have a slide for the.
Next slide.
Oh. Can you go to the next slide? No, that's Priscilla's. So we don't have one for the budget. So let me just read out the budget. I believe it was on your materials. So the corpus value right now of that fund as of February of 2022, it's 2.2 million. And then the distribution for this upcoming year is 112,000. And let me see. And then from the balance, what we're expecting from the balance, the ending balance, we started with $137,000 in July of 2021, and we're expecting to end up at 187. Is that all the? And then the encumbrances and funds available for 2022. Hold on, I'm reading this through. So that was 240, then year-to-date expenses. So we're under budget. So we're gonna have a carryover balance of 175. And that's because coming out of COVID and all the stuff, we didn't have a lot of programming. So we're gonna have rolling over dollars from this year to the next year.
He didn't have the final budget until after the fiscal year closes, Evelyn, so
Yeah.
we would probably have a better idea after the end of June 30th, just
Yeah,
to let you know.
which will be good because once we go then through the programming, we'll have the final number, and then these monies do roll over to the following year. So just so you all know. Okay,
Can I say something?
sure.
So to that end, I think that one of the things I would propose is that we raise the amounts that we are able to give. Right now, the largest grant that we've given is 7,000.
Okay,
And I'm thinking that we might want to increase that to 10,000. That people could afford, and I think that would bring in additional applicants. But I think, again, we have to sort of wait until we know everything, but I do know that there will be rollover.
okay. Yeah, it definitely looks like we're gonna have a big amount rolling over. So that's a good suggestion,
And
Candelaria.
also increase maybe the amount, maybe double the amount that's given to the branch. That could be another idea.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Okay, so we need to discuss that. Let's discuss that for the RFP for this year, and then we can take a vote on that. All right, so that's the budget. So Priscilla, you're up next with some BPL updates.
Yeah, so Boston Public Library was able to open Saturdays across the system, which is great. So most locations are open 9 to 2. Our Chinatown branch is not open on Saturdays, but the rest of them are. And I know that I was actually at the branch yesterday at Roxbury. It was very active and it was exciting, but the community rooms there, as Candelaria knows, and working this schedule with programmers, is very active space. And then also next week is the start of the Embrace Festival. So we're really excited about that and all of the great energy that's coming to the city from that event. And there are my updates.
Okay. All right, Candelaria, programming.
Yes. I have a slideshow of just photos, and what I thought I'd do is that I'd walk through the slideshow, and then you also have a document that has just the program name and the audience and dates for the ones that I have, okay? So next slide. Art and meditation was a class that happened last August. Next slide. And here's some photos of people who were in art and meditation. On the left is a woman Helen, who's actually part of the Friends of the Roxbury branch. And this is some of the art. They did a collage. Next slide. And that's a group shot of people working at different tables in art and meditation. So they did a lot of rhythmic breathing and different things, and they had different things that they worked on. Next slide. I wanted to put up one of the things I do is I do a lot of Facebook posts for the Friends of the Roxbury Branch Library. It's very active, and so this one is one where I had posted photos of the African American collection at the branch to let people know what was there. Next slide. And then during Black History Month, members of the Friends actually sent in books that they read, and we put copies of them. So this is one of the ones which was done by Elizabeth, and she had 3 books that she really liked. Jacqueline was also another person. Shay had one. So I didn't put all of them up. I just wanted to give a representation of one of them. Next slide, please. And this is a photo of the technical assistance session that was held for the special grants. We did a special smaller grant program call. And so this was people who showed up for that technical assistance session. Next slide rather. Take Back the Kitchen is a program that we've done for several years. It's coordinated by Haley House, and there's one for families and there's one for seniors. Next slide. So these are people in the Take Back the Kitchen classes for families. Next slide. And this is a girl who was very excited about making an avocado sandwich, and they were going to melt them in a press. And when you come into the library and anything's happening in the nutrition lab, you're always hungry because the smells are just incredible. So she was very excited because she had never thought of putting avocado in that kind of a sandwich, and that was something that she could do. Next slide. Older adults, that's the flyer for older adults. Next slide, please. And these were seniors, you know, getting together, cutting, talking, schmoozing. Next slide. That gentleman on the right was sauteing, and he does a lot of cooking in his personal life, but there are people there who don't really cook very much, so it's a mix. Next slide. The grilled eggplant, and that was interesting because several people in the class commented that they had never grilled eggplant before, and there was a sauce on the side that was a little bit spicy that they were rubbing on it. And then people were chopping, and you know, it was interesting to see if you have, you know, 8 people chopping, almost everybody does it in a different way. The sizes come out. Was this a dice? Is this not a dice? So all the conversation. Next slide, please. Chess classes was one of the programs that was funded in the smaller grant period, and it's going on now. Their classes on Tuesdays and their classes on Saturdays. Next slide. And so this is a shot of a Tuesday class, and this is the instructor for both classes who comes in. And what's been interesting is that we've had we haven't had any fathers in the program, but we've had several mothers and sons or mothers and daughters who are playing, and the mothers are very competitive.
I
So
love that.
it's been interesting. Next slide. The financial aid workshop is going on. The last one is scheduled for this Saturday. There have been 2 evening sessions and 2 Saturday sessions. Next slide. And that's one where 4 people came and we're talking about, she's a very, Yana Bean, who's the instructor, is very engaging, has a lot of knowledge, worked at several different colleges as a financial aid person. And a couple people had found out about it on one of her social media sites. I was able to give her feedback because some instructors take too much feedback from participants and it can veer them off for 20 minutes. So I told her that you have to sort of maybe announce to people when you're going to take questions, like, do you want to do 2 slides and then take questions? But one person who was there, I feel like he really wanted to teach the class. And so I told her that was one of the things that you have to, when you're doing a presentation, there's almost always going to be that kind of person. You have to sort of set the parameters where you let them ask questions, but you don't let them dominate so that you don't end up getting to everything you want in the matter that you want to get it to. So she had 6 people in her first class, which I didn't go to. She had 4 people here. She had 5 people registered for the last class and nobody showed up. So there's one on Saturday and we redoubled our efforts to see if we can get people there, but we're definitely competing with Summer and Sun. And if she applies again, I would recommend that we do it maybe a month or 2 before the forms, people have to put in the forms, that maybe that will give a little bit more urgency. Next slide. Macounda Project concerts were held in November and in March. Next slide. And so that's a photo from in March of the gentleman playing. Next slide. And this is people who were attending in when the format now is that they do 2 shows. So they do one at 7 and then they do another one, I think it's at 8:30. So this was people in November. So you can see there's more space in between people. And then the next slide is these are people who have come before the first show is out waiting to get into the second show. Next slide. And that's us, the Friends of the Roxbury branch, with our book and bake sale. This is where we raise money for the memorial scholarship that we give 2 scholarships per year of $1,000 each. Next slide. The play reading book club has continued. And Dreaming Zenzele was one of the plays. And so this is a discussion with the PowerPoint image from that particular discussion. Next slide. Burgers was another one, and then another slide of introductions, how they wanted people to introduce themselves. Next slide. Iphigenia was actually the first one, and that was an opera. Next slide. And this is a discussion of that play. Coding classes for teens, that was another one that was one of the January, February grant. And this was a slide, and this was attendance. That one it lost steam after the first session. One student came. I went to one class that had been canceled, but I didn't know, the instructor hadn't told me that he canceled it. So we basically decided to suspend the class, and I asked him if he wanted to try to do some different kind of recruitment to try to get more kids to come in. There's a tech center down a couple blocks away from the Roxbury branch. And so I think there are kids that are going there that might have come to this coding class, but he did continue with one of the students. But it didn't take off the way we had hoped it would. Next slide.
Do you think the problem was outreach, Candelaria?
I don't think the problem alone was outreach. I think we've done a lot of different things. I think that the kids who tend to come to things have a lot of things that are coming at them. He said he flyered. I sent it to all the groups of people that have attended our programs. I have a personal list called Info for Teens and Children that I send out to. He said he did some walking around the flyers. I don't know if he went next door. So I think that if he were to apply again, or if we would do that again, we'd have to really think about it. I talked with Steve Toporov. Is that how you pronounce his name? I'm not sure, but Toropov. And he said that what he's finding works better with teens particularly is drop-in things. That if you have something that's going on when they're coming regularly after school, that they can drop into. Now, how you fund that, I don't know. So he said he was going to think about it and figure out if there would be something where you could, like, say every Tuesday, you're just going to be in the space doing something that kids can then join. But again, if you're in that space, it's not a space with privacy. It doesn't mean that any of the rooms are going to be available. So I think this is a nut we have to figure out how to crack. And again, the Boys and Girls Club next door has tech programs. DeWitt Center has tech programs, and there's a tech center down the street that specifically has tech programs. So I think that that might have been what did it in. Next slide. Oh, this is Joe McCall Genealogy Boot Camp and the Martin Luther King Teach-In. So he's done programs for us for a long time around history and around tracing your roots in genealogy. Next slide. And this was a shot from the back of him going over genealogy. I've been trying to talk to him about his slides. Sometimes he has slides with charts and arrows, and they are so dense with the material, but that's how his mind thinks. And I said, well, could you maybe simplify it for those of us who can't follow all of it, maybe make 2 slides instead of 1, but people like them and they're coming. Next slide. Movers and Makers was a program that was held during school vacation weeks in February and in April. Next slide. And so there were parents and kids who came to make things and to move. Next slide. And so one exercise on one of the weeks, there were shapes that were put on the floor, and kids had to do things like, go into the triangle, jump in this square, this is the rectangle, and they liked that a lot. Next slide. They did some clay, and this is a tisket, a tasket on the left, where there was a basket that was made, and then all sorts of things are laid out on the table. Next slide. And this is one where the parents are sitting around and she's having them do stretching exercise with the kids. And then this is another table where a father and his son, where they are making things. It's 3 hours long, and I got a really good final report from them. And I asked them if they thought 3 hours was too long, because they didn't have refreshments during the 3 hours. Parents, would take a break, and parents could go get refreshments, or they might have had them with them and go outside. But she said she thought 3 hours was just the right amount of time, so that if they presented a proposal again, they would probably keep it for that length of time. Next slide. Piano classes started in May and they run into July. And it was really, if we stop here for a minute, it's really incredible to see a couple of the boys, particularly who are now 6 feet. And so I have pictures of them over the years when they were little bitty kids. So this is a picture of a couple of the classes. Carlos is on the right in the gray vest and cap, working with some students on notation. So they do a combination of playing. Those of them who have their own earphones plug them into the keyboard so that they can play, and it's not making sound in the class. We also pulled out the big piano that's in the storage, which does need tuning, and that information has gone to Alan. And then this is one of the boys. He asked, even though the classes are supposed to be for 12, he asked if he could come back, and his mother asked. So he's coming, and his younger brother are coming. And so one of the things that we are hoping to get is the keyboard stands, so that the keyboards will be at the right height, as well as the earphones. Next slide rather. And this is another one where he took 2 of the kids at the 9 a.m. class, and they were working on notation. The other thing that I've asked him to do, I'm there every Saturday, except when, I won't be there one Saturday in July because I'll be out of town. But I've asked him to show the parents what the correct placement, that kids need to curve their fingers, because some of the kids are more comfortable playing with their hands flat. And he said that's not going to build their strength in their wrist. So he actually showed all the parents that. And then one of the other things that I do is that every Wednesday I send a reminder to parents that there is class in the coming week and that their kids should be practicing every day. That's the only way that they're going to build their skills. Next slide. Mindfulness and meditation. I don't have I had a slide, and that's the one slide I can't find. I looked everywhere between my phone and my computer. I did do a screenshot. And this is somebody that I haven't heard from. I've sent reminders. I actually wrote a postcard and sent it to her home address, reminding her that I need the final report and I need her invoice, because that program happened in the fall. I have gotten nothing. So I may get it the day before the end of the month, but hopefully it will happen. Next slide. The collage workshop was scheduled in April, and there was a May date, and it was set up very beautifully, but we never got any attendance. And so that was a problem, and we were figuring out what it would take to get attendance. There's just not a lot of kids coming through so that they spontaneously could discover something during April vacation. So nothing more to say about that. Next slide. The Corey Ceiling Clinics, which is something that I know that Representative Tyler was very interested in. I've been in touch with Danielle. I worked on this flyer for her, and those are coming up, and the word is really getting out. And I put it not only on the Friends Facebook page, but I put it on my personal Facebook page. I put it on my personal LinkedIn, and I've gotten lots of reposts and a lot of people responding. So I think that that's going to be very exciting. And it's going to get a lot of attendance. The way it's going to work, it's a table outside the branch, and then people can go in with lawyers and have private one-on-one time.
Just to let you know, Candelaria, that's also, I added that to the weekly reports that are sent from David to the mayor's office, that this is something that's coming up, because I know it's important to the human services chief.
Okay. Thank you very much. I also have a list of people that I send things directly to, including my church group, and I'm asking people to send it to others. So I think that they will have robust attendance for that, and I will be going down and I'll take photos. Next slide. We have one more sort of teach-in, the Juneteenth. This is Joel McCall, and that's coming up. So that's. And oh no, two more. Your Next Skills hasn't been scheduled yet, so it may not happen because I've been reminding him. This is also Joel McCall's, and it was for youth who had been were coming through the foster care system or you know that kind of thing. And I don't know what's been happening in terms of him scheduling it. So he may try to do it in July. If not, it's just not going to happen this year. So hopefully I'll find out when I go. And this is my slide presentation.
Right. Thank you, Candelaria. Those are great pictures. All right. Well, you're still on the docket. Let's talk about what's coming up. This just gives you the grants that have happened and what the class sizes, and these are only the class sizes that I observed. I'm getting final reports from everybody, and when I get the final reports, I will do a chart that has actual numbers. And I'm also doing zip codes, so it was nice to see that in the piano classes there are a lot of students from the 02119 Roxbury zip code coming in. So that's one of the things that I've been asking people to make sure they do attendance and that kind of thing. And I keep that document. So here's the timeline that I'm proposing that may change by a few days or even a week. That we would, we have the meeting today, that I will issue it with ads in the banner for next week, and for 2 ads in the banner, one for June 16 and one for June 23rd. That there'll be a technical assistance session at the Roxbury branch on Saturday. I have that date secured. I'm also probably going to do another one by Zoom, because the other date I wanted in the branch, we just couldn't get a good date because all the rooms were booked. The notice of intent will be due on July 1st, and the final proposal deadline of July 20th, and our advisory committee meeting is August 17th. I will notify everybody of the grants August 22nd, and then the orientation would be on September 12th, with the contracts beginning in October. All right. So as part of,
back.
okay, no, keep going. Sorry.
No,
Sorry.
go
Keep
back.
going.
Let's discuss that.
No. I was
No.
just gonna talk. No, keep going because I'm gonna get you off the rhythm. So keep going.
No, you won't. I want to talk about this. So the
Yeah.
timeline is
Go.
basically how I work. So
Yep.
if anybody wants to weigh in on it, you can, but that's sort of how I work. And if I change any part of it, it makes everything go a week later.
Yeah.
So, and that can
So-
happen if it needs to, but.
Yeah. So Jacqueline and Elizabeth, this is new to you. So do you have questions?
I actually don't have any questions because although I haven't been on the committee, I have been following along.
Mhm.
And so I do understand how the process works. I don't have any question. It looks like it's aligned with what Candelaria has done in the past. So no questions on my end.
So
Can I ask
Jacqueline,
one?
yeah, go ahead. You have a question?
No. I was going to say, I'm in the very same place. I have no questions at all. I actually went through the process, so I completely understand how it
Okay.
works. So I'm good with that. Thank you.
Okay, so
And
I
no-
will warn you both that the meeting on the 17th is long because we do go through a lot of discussion on the programs.
Yeah.
Representative?
Yes, good morning, everyone. I just want to say thank you to Candelaria for checking in on the instructors. It seems like some people are experiencing some turbulence and they're getting some good mentorship. So if there's anything that we can do to help them, let us know. We're happy to do so. And I'm really glad to hear about the Corey Sealing Clinic too. I shared it on my social media too, and it kind of is like going viral a little bit. So I was happy to hear that. So thank you.
You're welcome. What the biggest hand-holding that I've had to do with some of the grantees has been around the flyers. There's a strict protocol around the flyers. And now that I've finally figured out how to do it and making sure the font, I'm able to be much more helpful to them. And that, like, as usual, people usually think of marketing as the last thing, and I always think of it as the first thing. So I'm actually going to refine my information in the orientation to make that a little bit better. I don't know if I would love us to get on Instagram, and that being another vehicle to get out information about the programs. I also send all the information about the programs to branch staff members to ask them to get it up on the website. And I send everything that we do out to the citywide friends groups. So that is something that I do regularly.
I have a question because Representative, I know that you have sort of like a mailing list. Does Candelaria, have we reached out to like other officials to leverage their mailing list as well?
No, I have not. I have mailed it to other officials, but I have not tried to leverage their mailing list because I didn't think about it.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Something to consider. Because that's a biggest challenge that as the library as a whole, not just this program, is, we have this great programming and then you see a couple people attending and it's just the outreach. We haven't been able to sort of, figure out how to communicate to people.
Well,
Yeah.
I don't think that's true. I think that we do communicate to people. What I think is that there are lots of people who never use the library at all. And that's the biggest group that we have to reach out. The people that we reach out to are people that we see repeatedly at different programs. And I'm constantly refining the list all the time, getting people on my list. I also find it's helpful if you actually tell people what you'd like them to do when you forward them a flyer. If this is not for you, please forward to other people. I've been reaching out more to church groups and stuff, but it's just some people are just not ready to come back in space again. Parents don't work in the same ways that they used to work. So the notion that there are lots of kids trooping in. We didn't have a children's librarian for a while. We do have one again now, and now that she's getting more acclimated, that will bring, I think, some more people in. I've asked the parents who have come to let other parents know about it, about the programs. And so I just think we continue to reach out. And then the other thing is that, like, on one of my slides there, I took a photo of the first class that only had 3 students one day, but then the next class had 9 students, and I just didn't remember to take out my camera. So it's a little bit of all of that. So I think we just continue to do what we're doing. I'll do ads in the banner, but to be honest with you, I've almost never had anybody tell me that they came because they saw an ad in the banner.
Yeah. Can I comment on that too?
Sure.
I agree. And I know we talked about this extensively in one of the last meetings, like, getting the info out there. And I do think that, obviously growing with social media is important. Getting on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, all these different sites are very important. And I think that, the way in which you do the outreach is important. So telling folks is, and I hear us a lot when we talk amongst ourselves saying like we're going to tell people, but I think it's the way in which we tell folks. So I know a while back somebody made a recommendation that like we can, do more here. And I do think that having somebody designated to do this and work with you to do this is like very important. And so maybe we could talk about how we can add that on to, your support staff or just supporting you in general. We should have folks that are out there, passing flyers and things like that, and maybe have a strategic plan behind it. Because again, not every senior is on, social media or Facebook. That's why we have a technology class. Not every parent has access to, information, but if they can get it from their child's school. So maybe having partnerships with schools, just different things like that. I think we can try and talk about like in the future, but it definitely should be coordinated, and we should definitely take some time to talk about that more extensively for sure.
Yeah.
I just think we have so much to offer in the library, and the library is really, really nice. And when folks go in there, I see their expressions, they're really happy. It's always like a vibrant place. So just to kind of let new folks know, about what's going on, it'll increase our volume as far as people coming in the door. So, and I'm happy to work on that. So let me know.
Yep. All right. I
wanted to ask a question. What about me advertising in the Dorchester Reporter? How would you all feel about that?
I don't know what the viewing is of the Reporter, so I have no comment on that.
Well, the Dorchester Reporter is a really dynamic paper, and there's so much going on up in this neighborhood. This is where I live, so that I think that I don't think it's only like people are not so rigid, like, oh, I live in, you live in Roxbury, you don't read the Dorchester paper. But I just think that they have a reach, and it might be worth trying.
Yeah.
Just to add to that, I can tell you that it's a very, very well-read periodical, Evelyn. And because Dorchester also borders Roxbury, a lot of people will get it that way for that reason too, just to add that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry, China, go ahead.
I was gonna say I agree with the Dorchester Reporter, idea. It's a great one. A lot of folks read it. I read it on a regular. But I think that trying to figure out how you're gonna advertise it is gonna be unique to whatever type of programming you're offering. So if it's for a certain type of demographic, we have to figure out where they're at, where they're gonna be. Are they minors? Are they gonna be after school? Are they gonna be at schools? And that's the target. Are they gonna be seniors? Then we should circulate different places where seniors may circulate. So I just think that it's gonna just be unique. It's not gonna ever be like a catch-all thing.
Yeah. Priscilla?
Yeah, no, I agree. I just wanted to, I think Dorchester Reporter is great. And I also wanted to ask Candelaria her thoughts on the South End News, because the South End also is pretty close. And so, and right now the South End is closed. And so they're looking for, especially seniors that live over there, might be able to get over. It just might be a nice way to expand out.
Okay, I will definitely plan to advertise in the Dorchester Reporter and the South End News. In terms of reaching senior citizens has not been a problem. And in fact, we had to turn people away because the kitchen can only have so many people in it at a time. And so that's the restriction. One of the things about the coding class that I remember is that one of the students who came, they came from Hyde Park, and getting on the bus, if the bus was on time, he could make it. And we were saying to him, you can come late to the class. Don't not come because you're going to be 15 minutes late or a half an hour late. Whenever you can come, especially if you can text and let know. I don't like text. I don't like to receive text, group text. I hate them. But that's another thing that, I actually have asked the piano parents about, would you be willing for me to send you a text to remind your kids to practice as opposed to the email? And for chess classes on Saturdays, which have less attendance, that would be, that's another thing that I would look at after people have signed up, but I personally hate them. So that will be really hard for me to join that monster. But yeah, I know how to, we will just keep doing what we're doing, because I think people are coming in slowly.
Yeah. Can I
So
make a
thank
comment
you.
on that? At different centers, they like came up with an app, and like you have to log into the app to then, and it pulls up all the programs. So for example, you can have the, Nubian Square Library, you know, app, and then it shows all the programs that you can possibly sign up for. Because I feel like, a lot of parents, I hear a lot of feedback from parents, and they're saying like they don't really know where they can go to get information for, for summer program or whatever it is. But when you put things in like a one-stop shop type of format style, it's easier for them to access. And I just think I saw that kind of work in different places. I know the BCYF, the youth centers, does it. They have an app where you can sign up and see all the programs there. So again, the technology piece, I just really wanted just to push that. This meeting, I guess, is starting to make a little bit more sense,
Yeah, so I'm
Yep.
sure that Priscilla or somebody will talk that over with their marketing communications people who have been a little bit, it's been difficult to deal with. They're swamped. They
Yeah,
feel.
and
But,
that's an
yeah.
ongoing, that's an ongoing conversation. We had a meeting about that as part of the community outreach. How do we improve, the outreach and bringing, to your point, Candelaria, people who don't normally visit the library, how can we get them into the library? Yeah. All right, ready to move on?
Yes.
All right. Next.
I would really, really, really like for us to get our some grant application software so that since we're doing grants electronically, people can sign on and it's there. It's not cheap, but because we have extra money. So these are 3 places that I looked at. One is called Good Grants, and it costs $13.90 annually, from my understanding, because it's hard to get the information without having salespeople try to take you on a journey with them. Submittable is another one that many of you have heard about, and they have a starter, pro, and enterprise pricing, and their plans start at $7,000 a year. Or I think $7,000 is the initial sign-up fee, and the yearly fee may be different after that. And then SurveyMonkey is another one that starts at $7,000. That's above my pay grade. It would have to be a decision that's made at the central branch. Even if you all said yes, who would actually sign up, how the money would be funneled. But it's definitely something that would make getting the grants and sending them out to you, it would be better than the thing that I'm able to cobble together on Google Docs. So that's a request that I have.
So I have so did you have a chance to look at these? And then, I mean, the cost does vary a lot from one or the other.
Well,
And
2 of them
then,
are around the same time. I've read grants through Submittable and through SurveyMonkey and through another grant software. The other grant software, I couldn't even get any information out of them online. And calling. Good Grants I've not used before, but I did look them up, and I looked up what the reviews were.
so have you, and for example, like I just went into Good Grants, for example, and you can try it for free. Did you just take a spin at it to see how it
Nope.
works?
Nope.
Okay.
Mm-mm.
Priscilla, I have a question for you. Since these are like low amounts, we don't have to go to bid for these, right? For the small amounts?
Correct. Especially since it's under, I would just want to check in about, because we have other services that we contract through. So I just want to double check, but yeah, we shouldn't have to go out to bid for that.
Okay. Can you check with IT to see, how do we procure this software?
Yes, absolutely.
And then how, if we have to, if they can help us, you know, do they help us with the evaluation process?
Yeah, I'll find out.
Yeah,
Okay.
I was wondering if there was already any part of the library that was using a grant software system. And so that might be something that, you know, it's just adding us to it or adding us as one of the whatever.
Not,
but-
so not the library itself. So this would be, I do want to see what other sort of uses that we can have for this. So we'll have to look at the best way. And I've got it on my list and I will report back.
Yeah, so I would say that probably it can't get done in a timely enough manner for this go round. So I'll cobble together this go round. But it's something that I think it just would make it much smoother for the future. Elizabeth, you had your hand up and it went away. I don't know.
You just answered. And so I was just getting clarification that this would be a process to make the whole submission and evaluation of the grants easier. One system, because I know I've often heard you say you've had to chase those applying, and it's just looking at this as a better way to do it. Okay, you answered the question. Thank you.
Thank you.
And is Candelaria, are these just for submissions, or does it allow you to manage it all the way through? Meaning, person submits, because if I think of the life cycle of a grant is, you know, the person submits, and then there's the reports that we require, you know, for them to submit about the outcomes of the program. So does this software allows you to just bring it all to closure, or is it simple for is it simply for submissions?
I think it's both. It's for submissions, it's for the grant committee to be able to look at the grants online and then to make comments on it. I think I would have to upload another thing for the final report, and then it would create a checklist of saying, yeah, these final reports are in, and that. I don't know if it would allow me, but I can't imagine that it wouldn't, to put some data in there so that if I'm reading the final report and I wanted to create something that said, these are all the zip codes, these are, you know, the attendance figures, I think it could do that. But for me right now, the main thing that it would be helpful for is for people to submit their grant applications through the portal, and for me to send it out to all of you through this portal where everything is loaded clearly. Like I'm doing something now, I'm reading grants for a meeting on Tuesday. June is when my head explodes. So we each part, like there's a narrative, that's a box that I click on, and then I go into the narrative, and then I go out, and then there's photos, and then there's, you know, charts. So it's like a list, but it's for each grant application has a name, and you go through this checklist for each one, the letters of support that they have, all of that, and it just makes it easier. We can comment online as we read them, and then when we meet, you can just pull it up. The administrator pulls it up, and you can see your comments. People can also tell if you waited till the last minute to read the grant, but that's another matter. But it just makes it smoother and it looks better, because I'm cobbling together all these people giving me stuff from different places and then putting them in a Google thing. And I don't use Google Docs a lot, but it's just messy. So it would just be better.
Okay.
Yeah, Shay has her hand up.
Oh, yeah, I was just curious if diligent boards was part of your research. I'm not advocating for this. It's just
I didn't hear what you said. What is it?
diligent, Diligent. I don't know if it's diligent boards or diligent books. It sounds similar to what you're explaining. I don't know about the submittable application part of it, but I was just wondering if that was a part of your research.
No, I use the ones that I've interacted with mostly. Pamela?
I just wanted to let everyone know that in order for you guys to vote on anything with this, it has to be approved by IT first. If you're asking for IT support.
That's what I said. So Priscilla took an action to do IT. So
Right. The only thing is that they're short-staffed right now, so I don't see this as something that's foreseeable for a little bit right now. But it's definitely something that it's kind of a moot point at this point until you can really determine if it's something that they can support.
Right, and that's what Candelaria said. So we would not do it now, but we'll look at it So we'll take the step to look at it for next year's submittals. Would that make sense, Pamela? Would that help?
Yes, and just, I asked Ellen while we were on this, I asked Ellen Donahue, who was our Chief Financial Officer, for her intake on the 7,000 annually cost. And she just asked, is it 7,000 annually for their IT support for this, or is it for a subscription?
Subscription, it looks like.
Do they offer any kind of IT support on their end, is a question to ask.
Well, we
I didn't
no,
go-
that's part of the procurement. So we would have to, so that's what I want to get clarification, because it's, you know, it's low dollars. And so I want to know, what do we need to do to procure for this?
I'm
So
just
yeah,
reading through Ellen's
yeah,
comments. I'm sorry,
yeah,
they're not my own.
no, Ellen is like 10 steps ahead. So yeah, let's have a chat with the IT folks, and so Priscilla took an action to do that for us.
Okay. I see
Representative, you have
Tyler.
it. Yeah, I was gonna say, Representative Tyler, you have your hand up.
I'm sorry, that's from earlier.
Oh,
Okay.
I'm gonna go. Sorry.
okay. All right, so carry on. Okay, so new business. Anybody has anything that we haven't discussed that we need to chat about? Nothing?
Well, I'm just curious, where are we in Candelaria's timeline? Or is that coming August with her renewal?
So that comes August in the renewal.
Thank you.
One of the things that I will say is that because I'm not a staff member, there are things that I don't always get communicated with. I did go to a staff meeting that I requested to at the Roxbury branch, but for example, if there's a COVID policy that you have around programs and things like that, that in terms of if a kid is out and the parent says that they're sick, do I need to be asking them, were they sick with COVID? Do I need to notify other parents? Those kinds of things, I'm sure the library has policy on, but I don't get included in that because I'm not a staff member. And I would welcome this year for people to come and attend some of the things that we do. Some of you all have, but others of you have never been to anything that's been funded. And I think it's just telling. It can make you, you know, these are strong front-facing programs. And it's nice to just come in and observe them. And that would be something that would be nice.
So Candelaria, you know what it helps me? Because this goes back to my comment, is that you always have to go find and fetch, and there's so much going on. What would be helpful and is if I can get a calendar invite, that's really helpful to me, because I've attended programs, but like I say to everyone, it's like, if it's not in my calendar, it doesn't happen. So I would love to get a calendar invite.
Yeah.
In terms of communication, Priscilla, is there a way, you know, if there's things and policies, as things change, can we just make sure to just close the gap on communication, make sure that Candelaria knows?
Of course.
I appreciate that. Anything else? No? Do we have any public comments?
We do not have any member of the public joining us today, so it's just
Okay.
us, no public comments.
Okay.
I have a person comment. I just wanted to say thank you to Candelaria for this great year. Coming out of this pandemic, it was a lot of work getting all of these programs up. So this is a really excellent Candelaria, and just shows a lot of commitment, and really appreciate the work that you put into it.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
And
All right.
I just want to piggyback up on that too. Your slide presentation, it's always great to see the pictures with the flyer. And it was nice to see a lot of people that I recognize attending the programs. I will say another group that I'm in, people have been really excited about the programs that have been happening at the Roxbury branch, and to see the personal people that I know outside of this attending the program, it's been great. So the word is getting out there of the programs that we're having.
Thank you. I actually do have one more comment. I'm glad we talked long enough that it came up. One of the things that I do worry about is confusion. There are times when things are being done that are funded through the fellows, and then something very similar is happening at the branch that is non-fellows. So people have said, oh, there's Stephanie Chase asked me to put flyers out for her programs a lot, which I do. Stephen asked me to put flyers out for his program a lot, but people say, well, I thought that class ended. I said, no, this is another class for seniors that's cooking. It has nothing to do with the fellows. It's not a Haley House program, but it is, someone in the community doing it. Even the Maconda Project, they do concerts at the library that are funded from us, but they do concerts at the library that are funded from someone else. And so sometimes when I'm asked to advertise these other programs, I'm like, I could be siphoning off attendance from a program that's sponsored by the fellows, which is my number one responsibility to make sure that I get attendance for those. So I think it gets a little confusing. And then the other thing is that as much as I try, I'm very good at communicating outwardly to the staff. They're not always very good at communicating inwardly to me. So for example, there was a sewing class that was going on there that I totally didn't know about until it had started happening. And then for the last bit of confusion, Go-Go Bites, which woman did a grain and plant-based eating, and then the Stop and Shop woman did kitchen demonstration. So a few people have asked me, and I've just given them the information, like some of the cooking classes are in person and some of the cooking classes are demonstrations via Zoom. And so people can get confused in a way. So it would be nice if we got to the point that in September, we had a calendar, at least for the first 3, for the fall going into the next year, that these are the things that are happening in the nutrition lab, and we can have something that says fellows and have something that says, library based or whatever, and then we would know, because the time, the space and time and who's doing what is getting confused and somewhat competitive sometimes.
All right.
Okay, that's all I have to say.
All right. I think we're all good. Anything else before we close it out?
Yes. Yes.
Yes.
Oh, I didn't know if I
Yes.
was unmuted. Sorry. That's why I was like saying that. Can we talk about the schedule, Evelyn? And the meeting schedule for next year? I know we mentioned April 17th. Can we talk about a time and get that approved right now for
August.
everybody? I'm sorry, that's August. I had
August
A on mine. August 17th. What time
Yeah.
everyone wants to do, just so that we have that?
17th. Hold on a second. 17th, it's a Wednesday.
We do morning.
Yeah, can we? Yeah, I was gonna say, can we do morning? My morning is open.
The 23rd.
No, the
Jay, can you
17th.
shut-
Okay.
Jay, can you shut your screen off in the back? Your screen share?
I'm pretty sure I did already.
Oh, you did. Sorry.
Sorry.
I can do the 17th in the morning if everybody's okay with that.
Yeah, the morning is good. The earlier the better is great for me.
Yeah, the earlier.
So
the
what's
better.
what's the earliest for what does early mean to people?
For me, 8 o'clock.
Oh, hell no.
Keep in mind that one thing I mentioned in my email is keep in mind, we don't know if we're going to be virtual or in person. I think we can get away with probably doing Zoom in August, but in the fall, it may return to in person, just so
Okay.
everyone knows.
Please not an 8 o'clock meeting for me.
Right.
No.
So that's one thing to keep in mind. What
So
time does the
Candelaria-
branch open up for Alan, Priscilla?
So on Wednesdays, it opens at 10.
10.
Can we do we have to do 10 or can we do 9?
No, we could do 9.
We do 9?
Let's have
Virtual.
the
Candelaria, 9 okay with you?
Is
I'll do
virtual,
it.
in virtual is the way I was planning on this meeting, just to make sure it's okay. But moving forward, again, any meetings after August, Please plan on them to be in person at the Roxbury branch unless I tell you otherwise. I'm just waiting for further advisement on the open meeting law.
All right.
10 o'clock.
So
I'll
we
send out
say
a
9 or
calendar vote
10?
today.
You want to
What
do
time?
10? Calendar, you want to do 10?
I'll do 9 or 10, whatever you all decide. I'll make it happen.
I saw her do like this, so I think it should be 10.
I know,
Yeah.
I know.
Well, I
I
walk in
got-
the morning. I'm usually up by 6 and I walk and it's just like I have a little, but I can
So
make an
10
exception
a.m.
if I need
10
to.
a.m.
Okay.
I'll throw it out there. 10 a.m.
Okay.
I'm good for 10 a.m. as well. All right.
Okay. Thank you. Take care.
All right. Thank you all. I
Thank
appreciate
you.
it. Thank
Bye-bye.
you.
Thank you. Enjoy your day.
Thank
you.
you
Bye,
all.
George. Thank
Enjoy
you.
your day.